What's up, this is a continuation of our Ruthless chess series. This video is not for everyone, but if you're the type of a guy who make downloaded apps to accept your terms, you're gonna love this. There are a lot of tricksters out there who try to humiliate their opponents by playing this so-called Wayward Queen Attack, and later they try to checkmate you in 4 moves with this fool's checkmate. But their strategy is actually a little bit more sophisticated, because what they're hoping for is even if you defend against the checkmate, they hope to get away from it and just continue playing normal chess, so that even if they win down the road 30 moves later, they can kind of still feel superior because they could get away with this weird opening and still win the game at the end. And that's what we're gonna end with today's video, because we're gonna turn this around and make them regret their choices. The classical advice in this position is to defend this pawn on e5 by playing knight to c6, but what I suggest instead is to actually just sacrifice this pawn on e5 and play for quick development in your own attack. You can do that by going knight f6. You're attacking the queen, forcing it to move, and you're okay to sacrifice this little pawn on e5, because that's actually not a big deal at all. While your opponent is wasting time dancing around with their queen, you're gonna finish your development quickly and to get after their king. That's overall your strategy, and there are really amusing ways for you to make use of it. In this position, the most played move by white is bishop c4. They just develop a piece, and it's a standard move in this color's checkmate attempt anyway. Then you castle. That's another little moment there where I'd love you to pay attention. Even though you could attack this queen easily by going knight to c6 or pawn to d6, this is exactly the case where a threat is stronger than its execution, because the queen is misplaced here and you can attack it anytime you want with various different ways, and keeping those options available is actually beneficial. So you're gonna castle here, and on the next move, indeed you're ready to play knight c6, attack this queen. If it moves away, you can possibly grab this pawn on e4 with your own knight, and therefore they usually play pawn d3, trying to defend this pawn on e4. Then you play rook e8, putting your rook in an ambush over here on e8. And actually the second most played move by white here in this position is bishop g5, and if they play this move or any other developing move, you're going to win instantly with the move bishop b4, which is a discover check to the king, as well as you're going to pick up the queen on the next move. So that's the first little trap that we have at hands, and actually a lot of your opponents will fall for this trap. Anyway, let's take one move back and see what else can they play. If they notice your threat, they usually play queen g3, which looks like just an excellent move for white to play. They put their queen away from this dangerous pawn on e5, plus they actually have something that they're hoping for, and that is they're hoping to play bishop h6 using the pin and then checkmate you anyway. So that's what they hope in their dreams, but of course we're gonna break that by going pawn to d5. That's our strategy. Remember, he's dancing around with a queen, we have the upper hand in development, we want to just open the position and get after the centralized king, also given the fact that most of his army is completely undeveloped. So after d5, you're attacking the bishop as well as this pawn on e4, they usually capture here on d5, and in this position. Of course, you could play bishop d6 with a double attack, so it's a discover check to the king, and you can grab the queen on the next move. This is what most players play in this position. But remember, we are gonna be merciless. That's why I want to give you a couple seconds to think about this position and to find a winning move on your own. The cool winning shot here is the move bishop to b4, which is a discover check as well as the double check, which forces the king to move. And after the king moves to any square, either d1 or f1 doesn't matter, you finish it off with the rook to e1. And this is a really nasty and juicy checkmate that your opponent will remember for a long time. That was actually the most common way for white to play, therefore I would highly recommend that you remember this little variation because it's just really juicy. Anyway, let me show you also the second most played line by white. Here after we played knight f6 attacking this queen, they're going to grab the pawn, you cover your king by bishop to e7, and we have just covered bishop c4. Besides that, they often play d3, kind of pursuing all the same ideas anyway. They just want to solidify their center so that if queen moves away, you can take this pawn. After that, you castle. Remember, we don't attack the queen too early, we're fine with the queen standing in such an exposed square. And here they usually go queen g3 anyway, because they anticipate you to attack the queen, plus they want to put together this quick attack against you. Since you're playing against a trickster, they're likely to try out one of these little tricks. And in this case, what you do here is you play d5. Still, our goal is the same. We want to open up the center and start attacking this king. After d5, you're attacking this pawn, but they are trying to play bishop h6, hoping that you're gonna take here, and they're gonna checkmate you with queen to g7. For a second, it looks like you're in trouble, but you can turn this around with a great move knight to g4, which does a couple things. I mean, you're covering the g-file for his queen so it can't move forward anymore. By the way, notice that your knight is defended by the bishop, therefore he can't capture it. Finally, your knight is actually hitting this bishop, therefore you can just capture it on the next move. And if your opponent notices that and drops the bishop back, then you'd follow up with another unusual attacking move, bishop h4. This bishop is protected by the queen, and it attacks your opponent's queen over here on g3. And as the queen moves here, they fail due to the weakness of this pawn on f2. And you can actually win with any move that you like. You can capture it with a knight, and after that grab the rook in the corner, so that is winning. But bishop takes f2 is the one that I love even more, because you just want to checkmate his king. And after the king moves, you can then take on e4 just to open up the position further. If he captures with a queen, then our standard move rook e8 skews the queen and the king, and you just win. If instead white captures here with a pawn, I mean, still this exposed king is in big trouble and it blocks white's development. You can just go knight c6, and the most played move by white here is h3. They're hoping to get rid of this knight and then to pick up your bishop, but of course we're not going to back down. We're going to counterattack with knight to d4, a very cool royal fork to the king and queen. The king has to move to the d-file actually, and after that, as you take on f3, it makes things even worse for white, because not only they lost their queen, but it's actually a discovered check on top of that, so they have to move their king. They can't even recapture over here. They have to move the king somewhere, and after that, if you want, you can take here as well, and you just win however you like. Let me also remind you that it's the final chance to get my new course Level Up Your Chess with a massive discount, while getting another course, Calculate Till Mate, normally worth $100, but you'll get it for free. And you can click the link below the video and get it right now, and I'll be more than happy to help you reach your chess goals. Either way, have a great rest of the day and keep crushing it.